Hello, everyone. Welcome in. You may remember some of us from On the Sensors. My name was 86. You may remember me from such videos as How to Destiny, and How to Destiny 2, and even Gen Con, some things like that. And also over here we have this other member of OTS. I forget his name. It's such a long time. Freshman?
Freshman.
Refresh me.
I'm Polyfly. You can call me Polyfly. Yes, you may remember me from numerous things as On the Sensors videos and podcast and video things, as well as a bunch of Gen Con stuff. I love Star Wars and all things Star Wars.
And we have this guy up here who's a Star Wars veteran. I'm sure many people in the community know him. And you may introduce yourself as if we need any introduction to you at all.
My name's Tank, but you can call me The Tank, just to be clear. I'm the top banana over at Scum and Destiny, and a sometime collaborator with these On the Sensors guys. Looks like I'm doing Family Squares or Brady Bunch stuff going on with them right now. Just happy to be here. Let's talk some Star Wars, man. Whatever it is.
I'll take Tank for the block.
And lastly, we have the last person. We'll let you introduce yourselves. Yourself.
Myself, yeah. Me?
Yeah.
I'm Aaron. I've enjoyed a lot of different card games, including Star Wars Unlimited so far, so may have some interesting thoughts to bring tonight. We'll see.
All right. So we're going to get into brass tacks. Hopefully a lot of you people came here to remember us from Destiny. If you're checking us out for the first time, glad you're here. We're going to talk about some things for a lot of you who are veteran Destiny players, maybe looked at Unlimited, but aren't quite so sure yet. We're going to give you the lowdown so you can see what's familiar going from Destiny to Unlimited and what quite exactly isn't the same. I will say that I don't know how you guys feel about it. I've demoed the game. I've played the game a good bit. It does playing it does feel like Destiny, but it doesn't at the same time.
Right, I think one of the biggest draws, and I know Tank, you've said this before with Destiny, is one of the biggest draws about the game and made it really exciting was those dice that we rolled, those big chunky dice that we roll with people. And while this game doesn't have that big chunky dice, it's still, to me, Unlimited still has kind of some of that same familiarity. It still gives me some of that same strategy that Destiny did. So which I really enjoy, but it is obviously it's a much different game. It has a lot of elements. It has some elements of the original CCG as well, which is nice.
Oh yeah, big time. Yeah. With Destiny, I mean the dice, I love them and I hate them because they're so much fun to roll, but they will screw me 9 times out of 10. With Unlimited or with any other card game that doesn't have a roll factor, the strategy becomes a bit more steady. So this has potential to be a bit more competitive, maybe for me, because I couldn't be competitive with Destiny because the dice hated me. I don't know. We'll see where this goes.
Too much RNG.
So I needed to play Ewoks.
Yeah.
Going into this, I do think there is a good bit of variance also in Unlimited, but maybe we can talk about that as we get into it. But I think one of the most attractive things to Star Wars Unlimited, and the same with a lot of Destiny, is the flavor of the game. And coming with a flavor, one of the things that is really great for me, and everyone that knows me knows I'm a huge Mandalore fan. I'm a huge Bounty Hunter fan. Effects were always my classic deck. In Destiny, I had the father-son deck, Jango and Boba. Just talking about the flavor and just how it relates to Star Wars. Boba, if he is your leader, when he takes out someone, his action currently is his benefit is you get a resource back, or if he's flipped to the leader side, you get 2 resources back if he completes the attack. And we'll talk a little bit about what those things might mean, but possibly. But what about you guys? Do you have? Oh, he's even got that.
Oh,
I want it so bad.
no, but
There it is.
Yeah.
Got some cardboard in his hand.
But the
Yeah.
good artwork.
I mean, the flavor all the way around in this is really good. Like you were saying, 86, Boba Fett's a bounty hunter, right? That's what he is. That's what his flavor is in this game, and that's exactly what he does in this game. Like, if you take out an opponent's character, he gets to claim his bounty, and you get resources back for it. In my opinion, I think he's probably the strongest leader in set 1.
Oh, yeah.
In my opinion, for that. I mean,
Everybody's
just,
saying he's top of the meta right now.
yeah.
All
early
the content creators that are doing their tiers, like Boba Fett is tier 1
Yeah.
all day every day.
He's so good.
By himself.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's still early even to say things about that. It's set 1, I understand that. But, someone I came from the fighting game background, Super Smash Brothers Melee, like 14 years later, there was like a bottom tier character that got piloted to like 4th place at like a national tournament. That nobody saw this coming. It hasn't been done before. This was a dead game. This was a game that people just, were still involved in the community because they loved it. And all of a sudden, this person put so much time into this character. Spoiler alert, it was Yoshi. That he just like skyrocketed to the top. So I wouldn't submit Boba's place yet, but I am hopeful. Yeah, I will say
Yeah.
that.
I did something very similar. I took a top tier deck and I piloted it to the very bottom of the rankings. So kudos to me for that. Seriously, it wasn't easy. I mean,
So,
That's true.
Aaron, have you played? You've had a chance to play some Unlimited already, or at least see some Unlimited, look at some stuff. Have you any of the characters flavor wise? I mean, what's your take on Star Wars?
Yeah, so I'm generally like a more aggro flavored type of player, trying to let the cards essentially just play themselves. Interestingly enough, I played the dual pack at the beginning. Yeah, Sabine is good. So I played the Vader versus Luke packs, and I was really interested in trying to figure out a good deck for Luke, like a red-blue deck. I think I like kind of got there, but I didn't get too much time to invest in it. But then I did run a Sabine deck, and it ran pretty smooth. Kind of like what you were saying before. I think we started recording though was you pretty much got to kill by turn 4 or 5, or it's over.
Yeah. So I'm an aggro player, especially early in the meta. This game feels a lot, and to go along with the flavor, this game feels a lot very rock paper scissors. It can be. If you've got a good control deck that Imperials, Palpatine, that wants you to just play a bunch of resources and last until the end of the game, like Palpatine, his big plan coming together, right? Hurting his own Palpatine's ability to hurt his own people to draw cards and get more resources, like that's just flavorful. But I've been playing a lot of Leia. Speaking of aggro, and she is the general of the rebels, right? Like that's her flavor, and that's what she does. And when she stands to fight, other people stand to fight with her, and that's exactly what she does on her abilities. Multiple people can attack and get a little action cheating out of it, and if you can swarm that ever-building empire of Vader or Palp or even Thrawn, like the flavor of the leaders and what they do are just top notch.
Yeah,
I know in Destiny, action cheating was a thing. I assume it was structured very similarly, the turn by turn, round by round. But action cheating, if you can figure out a way to efficiently do that and not be super weak to stronger like setups, I think that can be something that's really powerful.
More speed for days.
Yep.
Because it
played,
just turns things 2 times faster.
Yeah, we played a demo game at Silver Sun last Friday night. It was just the Vader Luke combo, not the Gen Con Vader Lukes, but the regular Vader Lukes. And one thing I found it fascinating, I was playing Vader against Luke, and I had Luke on I had the base on the ropes, like 3 more damage, and that his base was toast, and I only had like 16 on mine. I was like, I thought for sure I had this one in the bag. But what had happened was I shot my load too early, and here I've got all these resources. I'm getting 2 cards per turn, and if they're nothing, then I got nothing that turn. And my opponent had like paced himself, where he still had a handful of cards essentially, and I was this close, and then the game flipped around, and before I knew it, my base was gone. I'm like, it's kind of like in Destiny, you have the economy of the deck. Like, I've got all these great cards, but if they cost 5 and 6 resources, when am I going to play them? If my deck's not going to ramp, it's never going to happen. And so you kind of need to balance that. Okay, dropping cards of a certain cost to build up your resources, to ramp up, be able to pace yourself,
Right.
later in the game, and it becomes clutch. And I saw that and I was like, okay, I got to work on that. I definitely got to work on my timing here.
So let me rewind that a little bit. Let's talk about. I'm gonna just give some basic layouts for flavors, and then I'm gonna talk a little bit about the quote unquote colors, and then I think that is gonna be. This will make perfect sense to anyone who's just tuning in. So we talked about Boba Fett. He is, as one example of flavors, we have Thrawn, who has that strategist mindset. He can see the top card on someone's deck. He can exhaust the character. We have Luke, who's pretty defensive. He cares about putting shields on his allies. He doesn't care as much about protecting himself. He cares as much about putting things down and protecting the others. We see Vader, who deals damage. We have Palpatine, who's pretty much the manipulator, right? He takes control of people. Jyn, who was a member of this, guerrilla fighter group we saw in Rogue One. She is good at paying the attack damage of a defending character down. So all of these kind of fit into different colors. And in Destiny, we have these.
Then you got Cookie Monster here that likes to eat cookies. Oh wait, no, I'm sorry, that's Chewbacca. I thought that was Cookie Monster.
Yeah, I didn't want to talk about
defense. Setting up characters that come out with Sentinel, more and more defense. So yeah, it's the kind of the life debt thing. Totally. Each of the characters has their own special book.
Yep.
Yeah, the Han. It's weird because the Han and Chewie. So the art, I realize the art is hit or miss for anyone out there, but the Han and Chewie art, I feel like, is like probably some of the least desired in the game. But the showcase art for them is like some of the best.
Yeah, right.
But going into that too, like that flavor is also there. Like Han smuggles in a resource each turn. Like that's there. Like everything, all the heroes essentially have that flavor with them. And in Destiny, we have these, three colors that we paid attention to: the yellow, which is rogue, the red, which is the military. I don't really understand. Like, I never knew what red and blue were officially called.
Command. Red was command.
Red was command, and then blue was force.
Force.
Yeah.
So, and then we go to this game, and we had those facets that were also differentiated by hero and villain, but now we have a lot more of a palette here. So we have this blue vigilance, no longer force. Force is not a
thing. No.
Yeah, well, it's a subtype, but it's color. Yeah. So we have vigilance, which seems to be a little bit of that protection side of things. You might see that. We have command, which is essentially, I believe, your ramp in this game. Like that seems to be the strongest ramp cards.
Yep.
Aggression. There are some pings and some minuses for aggression, right? A lot of burn damage. Am I correct on that?
So aggression, as the color states, it's red. It's aggressive, but it's aggressive at a cost. The cost usually comes in the form of whether you're villain or hero. Hero aggression is usually quick, small, low to the ground, low cost units that can be put out really quickly. If you're playing villain aggression, to me, it's usually they have come with a higher like penalty. You may have some guys that hit bigger, Vader for example, but he comes out at a high cost of 7 resources. You have to have 7 resources to put him out. But he just swings his battle axe and destroys things. So a lot of the aggressive villain cards also have some force synergies with them too. So if you're playing them with force aggressive characters like Vader or like Palpatine, because you can use 3 colors, then you get some benefits to being aggressive in that dark side of the force type of stuff.
And then we also, just going on there, we have Cunning, which is essentially the new Rogue. I feel like the characters that fell under Rogue also fall under Cunning in this game. I don't feel like that is any different. I feel like it's mostly the same, except we see a yellow Thrawn now instead of red Thrawn, which is interesting.
It's Cunning, right?
It's true. And yeah, that
Should
is
Thrawn be
exactly...
blue? Wait, what?
Never blue. He never was
blue.
Never blue.
Be blue.
And then instead of hero and villain, we do have heroism and villainy, which I could kind of argue it's pretty subjective in this game. I feel like, but not at the same time.
So, a point I want to make about those are all the aspects of the cards, right? 86, like that's the different aspects that we have. And while you can technically play villainous aspected cards in a quote unquote heroism deck, so like, if you're playing Luke, for example, Luke is vigilance heroism, so he's blue white technically. You could play villainy cards with them, and the way that this, so you don't have, you're not stagnant to just I have to build a hero deck or I have to build a villain deck. There are some cards that I would play in a hero-ish deck that are villain. Overwhelming Barrage comes to mind. But they offset that by making it cost more. So when you build your decks and you're playing your games, any aspect you don't have between your base and your leader, you have to pay 2 additional resources for that card for each aspect. So if I'm playing a villainy card with my Luke deck, I have to pay an extra 2 resources for that villainy aspect. So it's really cool. Like unlike Destiny, where you're stuck with here's my hero deck, here's my villain deck, you have kind of, I think that's, Jim, you're talking to that a little more strategy there. There's like more things to think about and more strategy when you're building your constructed decks for it.
It almost seems like the combinations
with
of this are
Destiny,
unlimited.
anytime you could, it's unlimited. Hence the name, unlimited. You can put Vader and Yoda on the same team. It's just going to cost you more money.
It's just going to cost you.
With Destiny, anytime you could blur the line between hero and villain and get some hero cards into a villain deck, or more often than not, villain cards into a hero deck, now you really got some like interesting things happening.
Right.
So it'll be. I haven't broken any of these unlimited cards yet, but it'll be neat to see, like, okay, I'm going to pay extra for this, but if I do this in my villainy deck with this hero card, this is what's going to come about. So that has me excited. I always love doing that.
Yep.
I can't think of any Destiny cards that were overpowered by bringing in the other hero. Like what, Raylo? That was a really easy, cheap deck, right? Wasn't strong at all.
Raylo's pretty good.
That was a joke.
It was. I got it.
So going into these subtypes is a little bit about what Tank is mentioning here a little bit ago with pacing himself. We can see different cards actually and different types kind of work differently in this situation. So what do you feel like you kind of
I definitely feel like that. But
do you remember the game you were talking about? You said that like the other person paced themselves a little better. They only did like 3 damage.
Yeah, I unfortunately only got like half of what you just said, but I know you're talking about the game where the pacing was different. I was definitely coming like pew 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 pew, go fast, poly poly poly. And he was just like, okay, yeah, I'll take that here, I'll take that there, I'll drop this over here. He was playing the long game, and I clearly wasn't. I was. It was akin to a chess match, which is very different strategies, and one just like taking the attrition, but knowing there was a bigger plan in play. And I felt like I don't know if it was intentional to how he played it or it just worked out that way, but I felt almost like I was duped or drawn into to wanting to play like that. And these are just the starter decks. Right out of the box, Luke and Vader.
Oh, okay, it was the starters.
So I need to get more reps in clearly and kind of get my own tempo down and see what works best for me or whatever deck that I put together.
In Destiny, it was always the more dice you could put on the table, the more potential you had to do damage, and the larger threat your opponent had to kind of mitigate, right? In this game, there's 2 different arenas. There's a ground arena and a space arena, right? And so the chess match you talk about really has to do with, am I going to play a space unit, or am I building my deck to favor one or the other, depending on who I'm going up against? And I've seen that even in the starters. Vader tends to go a little more heavy. In my opinion, I think Vader goes a little more heavy in the space. He's got some good ground units in the Vader starter deck. So I don't know if you had experienced that, but
PTSD,
yeah,
Walker.
Yeah, there's a couple walkers in there, but that's also another big difference between this and Destiny is it's not just a matter of slamming everything down on the table and hoping your opponent can deal with it. It really is like, well, do I play this now or do I play it in the space for, where do I put the pressure?
Yeah. Yeah, the timing of when you play stuff is a lot more key with this because it's not going to stick around. It's not going to be a support that's on the table until the game is over. It could be gone next turn. You never know.
Sure.
Was damage permanent in Destiny?
Yes, but it worked differently.
Yeah.
So Destiny was very hero centric. Is that essentially you had a hero, or you had as many heroes that would work up to 30 points. So a hero was worth 1. A hero with 2 dice was worth usually more. And then you could have 8 heroes that equaled up to 30. You could have 2 heroes that equaled up to 30, and then sometimes there'd also be room left over, so you might add in what's called a plot. Essentially just this little bonus text that could help you throughout the game.
Yep.
Yeah, I think if you just slam your hand down like as fast as you can be in a really bad spot because you might draw your 1-drops. That even though you draw 2 cards every turn, you might draw your 1-drop and be in a rough spot. And then you don't even know if you want to resource them because you don't know what's coming next. Like playing the long game, like you said, I've definitely been caught thinking I was in a really good spot, putting something really powerful down, and then they what is it? It's like Leia or the recall, the one where it puts it back to hand. Well, crap. I just wasted a big plan that I thought was going to turn around.
There was one. Yeah, there was one. I can't remember which. It was a ground unit that was like a 3 offense, 7 defense, and my opponent Bo just kept shielding up this one unit. I'm like, it's only 3 damage. Like, why is he investing so much in defending this unit? Because 3, like over a few turns, that starts becoming noticeable damage on your base. And I was like, son of a, I got to do something about this unit.
Yeah.
So yeah, little things like that. You learn as you go. You see what your opponent's doing. You're like, oh, I see. Dirty pool, right?
Speaking of shields.
Yeah.
Speaking of shields, yeah. Oh boy, shields, huh?
Shields are an inducer this game. Inducer of rage, inducer of adult beverages.
Inducer of rage.
Shield. So upgrades / tokens are definitely different in this game than they are in Destiny, right? It's different in Star Wars Unlimited than they are in Destiny.
Yeah.
Like you say, shields. Shields in Destiny, they blocked for 1 individual point of damage, right? You could have up to 3 of them on a character, some instances 4 or 5, depending on if your character has special abilities for that. But in Unlimited, a single shield cancels out all of an instance of damage. So if I have a shielded character...
Single shield in Unlimited is a Den of Thieves in...
Yep.
Destiny.
Yes.
Exactly
it absorbs, and they stack. So you can stack shields and only remove 1 of them when they get through. Now, this seems like it's ridiculous. Like, why wouldn't you just play a shield game the entire time? Well, shields can be easy to come by if you play the right deck. Luke, for example, wants to give shields to people, but he only wants to give shields to units that came into play that turn. Right? So it's not like he's always shielding up everybody, but shields can be tossed around quite a bit. Units come in with a shield on them. But they've also made some cards with a keyword Saboteur that lets you blow away all the shields on something and then automatically get through a sentinel or a blocker, essentially, to get to base. So there is some give or take. In my local, we've been playing IRL quite a bit over the past couple of months getting ready for this. And shields hasn't been as big of a deal in the constructed side of it. In limited, Saboteur, in limited,
say, you know who's got Saboteur.
Yep. In limited, they've been like, we played some draft and some sealed. Limited, they're really good because you just don't have the Saboteur cards. You're not building for that, right? Now the good thing is that the cards that have Saboteur on them, they're usually pretty decent cards on their own. So it's not like you have to have a crappy Saboteur card in your deck to get past some shield stuff. So, but what are some? Let's see. Experience, 86 experience tokens. I think you beat me over the head one day with a bunch of experience tokens.
So that can happen.
experience tokens allow. I play. I mean, anybody who knows me from playing Destiny, I love playing red troopers. That was my thing. Bring back Camino, free Camino.
And mitigate.
I always remembered you as more of a Han player, to be honest.
Han?
I think, yeah, that or well, actually, no. I remember the trooper when I first played you with the troopers, and then you had the Afra Grievous.
Yeah, I was very damage out of hand, like burn Afra. I love my murder droids deck.
Mitigation, that was the thing I remember.
Mitigation, yeah. I played a lot of DJ, a lot of Order 66. Yep. Basically, you don't get to play the game. I get to sit here and laugh. But experience tokens are basically the ability. There's a lot of characters and a lot of cards that give your other characters +1/+1 tokens, and they are upgrades. They're considered upgrades essentially.
Yep.
And man, the Tarkin leader, he gives for one resource every turn. He can just give an Imperial +1/+1. Just give it a token. I love it. I love it so much. I'm so ready for more strong Imperials. It's so good.
Yep.
But that's something else we don't think about too.
Where Tank got all of these cards. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, I just show up prepared. That's how I roll.
But that's like
I'm in Pittsburgh right now, so I'm like 45 minutes away from Majo. So we're gonna get together tomorrow night and talk about our IRL. We're gonna play a few games. So I just grabbed a bunch of stuff and it's all here in my bag.
Nice. But like, I bring up experience tokens because we have dice in Destiny and we have upgrades in Destiny that add more dice and add more potential to do damage. In this game, instead of adding, because we don't have those dice, it uses experience tokens and it can get out of hand real quick. So
yeah, so upgrades in this game, I think Destiny we saw a limit of 3 to a hero.
Correct.
In this game, it doesn't seem like I haven't found in the rules, which just got leaked a little bit. Well, not leaked, released a little bit ago. I haven't seen that there's a upgrade limit. So
there is no upgrade limit, specifically because like shields are technically token upgrades, and so our experience tokens are token upgrades, and you can have as many of those on a character as you want, whether you're marking them with a die or with the actual token card you get. And then yeah, there are other actual upgrades that you can add. Advanced training adds +2/+2 to a unit, +2 strength, +2 health. Electro staff that just got I mean the whole set got spoiled, but yeah, so nothing that I've seen. Yeah, nothing that I've seen. So
I haven't seen like a heroism card in a villain deck or a villain card in a hero deck to see how that kind of caught me off guard. But I did, again, I can't remember what the card was because I haven't played enough IRL to have all this stuff memorized yet. I have this thing called the life, kind of gets in the way sometimes. But when a card is played that allows like damage from the space arena to spill over to the ground arena, and you weren't prepared for, like, totally caught me off guard. There is that spillover happening already. Like, you didn't think that was going to be a thing. Like a strafing run happens or something. Like, wait a minute, what do you mean my ground units are dead too? What happened here? There are some clutch plays like that can be pieced together that are devastating.
There are a handful of cards that do it, but not very many right now.
And I will say, like earlier, I talked about we'll hit on that variance piece because we talked about the dice. This is the thing that I see in the game, the biggest point of variance, and I feel like it can be pretty significant, is looking at the ground in the space arena. Yes, there are cards that cause them to interact with each other, but if someone like builds up a space arena and someone builds up a ground arena, that can have some crazy implications, I feel like.
It's a race at that point.
Yeah. And we've had games, like we've done games where like I don't draw a space unit, and you just like, I'm not playing any ground units. And you just, because you know that like what my deck does, and you're like, okay, I'm not gonna play any ground units. Just go straight over here.
Yeah.
Yep. It's the mind games.
Yeah. When we get to like best of 3 matches, top cut stuff. And what we'll have sideboards to work with at that point, but it'll be interesting to be like, all right, I know what you're up to now. I'm going to play differently next time, as far as what I play into what arena,
Yep, 10 card sideboards in this game, which is different from Destiny. Best of 3 matches for sure. But yeah, that's the mind game, right? Like if you lose and you go first, you know that your opponent is playing a lot of space. if you built like my Leia Rebels deck plays a handful of 1-drop space units and a handful of 2-drop, well, I guess 2-drop space and 2-drop ground units.
I gotta write this down. Your deck does what again?
I play a play set of the Battlefield Marines, and I play a play set of the A-Wings. And so depending on what I draw and depending on what you played against me last time, I will mulligan for either my space units or my ground units, you know.
Right.
It's that mind game. But that's the variance.
Yeah.
Like that's, if you don't get them, you don't get them, and you gotta try to audible.
Yeah. Now 86, I'm imagining we're going to talk about the difference in the mulligan, because it's once you're used to the Destiny mulligan and you can't get that freedom anymore, ooh man, mulligan becomes a much bigger choice now.
I'll be honest, I kind of got used to playing games with no mulligan. So, like, having a mulligan feels, like, pretty forgiving. But I feel like, regardless of what deck you make, so, essentially, what you have in this game is previously known as a hard mulligan. You know, we said that term. It's like, you put everything back. You're looking for that 1 or 2 cards. So you draw 6 cards, either choose to keep that hand or put everything back. And it's really become, like, did I draw a super laser siege technician in my opening hand? Nope. Okay, let's put it all back. Draw again. Like that's literally the decision.
Yeah.
It's an interesting mulligan because, and just to back this up, we keep talking about resources and drawing 2 cards per turn. You draw 6 cards for your opening hand, but then you have to decide out of those 6 cards, 2 of them that you're going to put face down as resources. And then at the end of every turn, before you stand everybody back up, you draw 2 cards, and then out of whatever you have in your hand, you decide if you're going to put one of them down to resource. So you start with 2 resources, and you increase that way. So the cards in your hand are also your resources. So the mulliganing for that, like you have to take that into account. Like you may have, you know, the DJ, right, super laser tech, but do you have anything to follow up with it? Or do all you have is low drops, and, you know, or did you only pull high drops? Like, and, you know, trying to decide what 2 cards you're going to resource, you know, makes that mulligan decision a little difficult, I think.
Yeah, we got spoiled with the Destiny mulligan. You know, pick whatever you want to keep, throw back the rest, draw up to 5 again. Like, that was extremely generous, but it made for quick games. I mean, you know, that was kind of the point of Destiny. Bing bang, bing bang, bing bang, done. Okay, cool. Next.
Aaron could probably speak to this a little bit, because I would assume it's similar to Grand Archive in this essence. Like, card advantage is huge in this game. Like, so we talked a little bit about, you draw 6, you resource 2. That leaves you with 4 cards. Let's say turn 1, you play a card. Okay, you go to 3, and then you draw up 2, go to 5, resource 1, go down to 4. Let's say you play 2 cards. Now you're at 2 cards in hand. Next turn you draw 2, put 1 down. Let's say, I mean, eventually you just run out of cards unless you have some kind of plan, or there's some method to, you know, what you talked about earlier, Tank, that pacing. I don't know if you had any thoughts, Aaron, about the resource curve, or just how I mean, what are your guys' thoughts as a whole on how the resources and cards work in this game?
Yeah, I think kind of what I was mentioning earlier, if you just drop your hand and you end up with nothing left to do other than your top deck, you know, you could be in a really bad spot, because your board can clear super quickly with permanent damage without a plan. And yeah, if you don't have a plan to, like, play a card and replace it, and you just keep dropping cards each turn, and you feel like you have to play your cards to keep up with your opponent, the fact that your cards are resources is both beneficial to a good play experience, unlike Magic, you know, where you have the mana screw or mana flood situation. But it also is just because you can do something. I actually learned this from I mean, it's kind of like, you know, obvious, but it's nice to be said. I learned it from a good buddy, Jimmy Lee, in Grand Archive. But just because you can do something does not always mean that you should. And, you know, obviously there's, like, combat tricks and other reasons that's important, but it's super important in a game like this, where each card in your hand can represent your next resource, and you might draw, you know, a big hit next turn that you would rather not have to resource, but since you played a minor card that doesn't really affect the game the previous turn. Now you feel like that's the best decision. And yeah, I think it's really cool though. Also in this game, so Flesh and Blood, Grand Archive, and Destiny or Unlimited all kind of work on different axes of how they go about bringing the deck out and playing through the flow of the game. But they all have the similar idea of like using your deck for resources. So Flesh and Blood, you pitch your cards to the bottom of the deck, you see them back later in the game. Grand Archive, every card in your hand is a resource, and you put them down and you pick them back up at the beginning of your next turn. So the game is balanced around that. Like your 2-drop is like a 1/2 versus a 2/2. Your 4-drop is like a 2/3. But anyways, it's really nice in Unlimited how the game starts so quickly. Because like you said, you start with 2 resources. You have 4 cards left. You draw 2 cards every turn. You can kind of hedge that too. Like Sabine being a 4-drop and being super, or I guess at 4 resources, you can bring her out, being super aggressive. You don't necessarily feel like you need 8 resources on the board, right, to continue the game, and you don't need to ramp. And yeah, it's a really neat avenue that Unlimited takes.
I believe
one of the obstacles I feel like I need to get over, that I also had to get over with Destiny, was as a Magic player, when you draw a mana, you know what you're going to do with it. You're going to play it as a land, and you're going to tap it as mana and play some cards. Like, there's no question. With Destiny, all of a sudden there was this discard to reroll mechanic, and I'm like, well, wait a minute. Every card I put into this deck is something is useful, that I want. I don't want to discard it, and I had to get over that mindset and play in the sandbox with the big kids and realize that's a big mechanic in the game, is that it doesn't. You have to live in the now. Forget about what's in your hand to play next turn. You need to get those dice acting now. When it comes to Unlimited, I'm looking at these cards going, all right, I have to resource 2 of these, but they're all good cards. Damn it, I'm needing to get past that barrier of like, okay, well, it's just, you're playing the long game here. Forget about what's in your hand right now and prep for what you're going to be playing, 3-4 turns from now, and set up that checkmate.
Or knowing that your leader comes out on 5 and not 6, right? Mm-hmm. Wanting to get to that point, or you have to resource because Chewie comes out on 8 or something, or 7, mm-hmm. right? So getting.
Have we seen? I don't think we've seen any cards yet that allow you to like. I just drew my. I can swap this card with a resource. Like, have we seen any resource swapping yet to bring cards back into your hand from your resource pool?
Does Han? No.
Han makes you defeat a resource. I haven't seen any cards that let you put resources back in your hand, but I have seen cards that, like Han, you can play an extra resource, but then you have to destroy a resource at the end of your turn, essentially. So you can kind of pick and choose. I'm assuming because of that mechanic that there probably will be, because you can also look at your resources. Like, it's not hidden. Like, once you put it down, you can't look at it anymore. So you can kind of what you've resourced.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So if Han destroys it, puts it into the discard, could something be brought back?
I don't know that I've seen.
Yeah, maybe down
Akbar, not Akbar.
Not Akbar.
Someone brings someone. Use someone to cycle
something that brings
back.
something
back.
Is it
home 1? No.
No, not home 1.
You have something. I know you've brought Akbar back a couple times with it. Not command, is it? No.
Yeah, command lets you bring a 2 cost back. No, not command. I know what you're talking about. It's not command. It's.
Let me check my cards here.
Yeah.
How do I not know this?
Yeah, but there is a card that lets you, when you play it or when it gets destroyed, gets taken out. You get to
I remember.
Yeah, I think it's a heroism card if I remember correctly. Still learning all the cards. Still learning all of them.
Yeah. Imagine that. We don't have this full set memorized yet.
Not there yet.
Give us 3 days. One thing I'll talk about really quick, and I think this will be a very brief moment. And it's kind of a breath of fresh air, but it's not. It's weird at the same time. Uniqueness isn't as unique in this game.
Right.
So now you can have Boba Fett as a leader. You can play a Boba Fett. I'm assuming if they release another Boba Fett, they can play Boba Fett. So only the subtype is where uniqueness spreads to.
Well, and there's also, yeah. So there's also the diamond shape, right? In the Destiny cards, we had the little diamond icon on them.
Mm-hmm.
So there are not just uniqueness, but like you can't have two of the same card with the same subtype.
Mhm.
So the named characters like Baze, you can't have two bases out. But to your respect, you can have Boba Fett leader, even though he's unique, and he can come out because he has a completely different subtype than the Boba Fett card that you can get from packs. So the legendary Boba Fett actual ground unit. So they're both Boba Fett, but they both have different subtypes. Now they are both unique. I mean, obviously you can't have two Boba Fett leaders because you can only have one leader, but you can't have two of the Boba Fett ground units out at the same time. So you have to decide, which one gets destroyed or whatever. But
yeah, that one took me a little bit to wrap my head around. For sure.
But there's a lot of interesting things I think that we've kind of went over, and you can tell we're all really excited about different points. So
one of the things I'm excited about is those two different. Sorry to cut you off, 86. The ground arena and the space arena, because my first foray into Star Wars card games was the Decipher CCG back in the 90s, where we had Battlefield. I mean, you had multiple battles going on at any given time. They could be on the ground, they could be in space. You could be transporting from ground to space and moving around here and there. And it was just, I had never played any game like that or since, and this is the first time I'm kind of getting that feeling again. The thing that happened with the Decipher CCG was that I fell in love with the way the cards looked, and that all the images were stills from the movie, or there was something later on that was photoshopped or actor, cosplayers, whatever, for Mara Jade or Alan Card or Thrawn or something like that. But they were photos. They looked like photos. So when Destiny came out and it was all like paintings and artwork, I was like, what's this garbage? I want to see photos. Like I was not feeling Destiny when it first showed up. Now I love it. So when I look at this,
the walking carpet.
Right now, honestly, I don't love this. I do not love this. I love this all day, every day. That looks phenomenal.
Yep.
I will say though, just interrupt that. If you show the blue Chewbacca leader, he looks horrible, but the yellow Chewbacca, not leader, the yellow Chewbacca ground unit with Sentinel looks, I think, perfectly fine.
Yeah, different artists have different types. Yeah. But I kind of want it all to feel like it's the same. I don't know. I'm picking nits here. I know, but it'll grow on me eventually. Yeah. Perhaps.
One thing I will say is the Star Wars comic books that are right now on Marvel. You can get Marvel Unlimited, and you can start reading a lot of them. I think that a lot of that same art is with those right now, and also I think the same art is within Marvel Champion. So it seems like it's uniform a little bit.
There we go. That is some good art right there. That is some really fine art. I'm feeling that. Really, 6 ways from Sunday.
Yeah, they look really good.
Yeah. So I think we've been over it, and we've been everywhere and jumped everywhere, and you can tell we're all really excited for the game. And a lot of it would just be like, hey, feel free to hit us up, and we can play some games with you. We will gladly teach you the game. Especially pre-release is going to be happening very soon, so cards are going to start being out in the wild. Why don't we wrap this up?
How many pre-releases is everybody going to? What do you guys got lined up?
So why don't we wrap this up? Everyone's going to say how many pre-releases they're going to attend, any last words, and what card or cards, because I can't even pick one, they're most excited about. And I'll end it, but you guys can, whoever wants to take it away. So pre-releases, number of things, cards.
Me and my youngest son, my 13-year-old son, are both into this game right now. So we are signed up for, I am signed up for only 2 pre-releases in my local area, and he is signed up for 3 pre-releases. So we're going to quite a few. So that's going to be a lot of fun. My old Destiny, in real life Destiny group that I got started with before joining on the Censors has come back together for Unlimited. So We've been playing quite a bit. So, the one card, man, any of the hyperspace showcase things, like I just want to open up shiny foily things, like really. Any of the leaders, like right now I'm playing Leia, so a really cool Leia, hyperspace foil, showcase, something along those lines is probably right up my alley. I think those look gorgeous. Yeah. There you go.
I am signed up, officially signed up. I need to sign up for the other one. Silver Sun Games, my local is Friday, March 1st. We're doing the pre-release, and then the next day, Saturday at noon, the legendary Highlander Games in Boonton, New Jersey, is running their pre-release. I'll be bringing my 2.5-year-old Audrey with me, who loves Star Wars. But we'll see how this goes. I better get some of her own packs, because when she sees Daddy opening some packs, she's gonna be like, "Oh, gimme!" And I'm like, "No, Daddy needs to build a deck." So this will be testing the waters. But I'm hoping, and I just reached out to Jack from Golden Dice to see if he had his finger on the pulse of, like, are any of the old Destiny players like Edwin Chin or Drew Warren, or like the ABG guys, or the Golden Dice guys, anybody from the Golden era coming out for this event at Highlander, and he didn't know of any. And I'm like, I'm hoping somebody will be there, like, wait a minute, aren't you, but we'll see. As far as so those are my two. I think besides Audrey going, I think I'm just going alone. I don't have the Scum and Destiny team. Well, hence the name. We're not just Scum, we're Destiny too. They're not all about the swoo. They're not swooning for swoo. Can't say I blame them. Destiny will always be my number one, my go-to, my near and dear, true love. But in order to get some IRL, OP, competitive gaming going on, Unlimited's really my only choice. As far as cards, I'd love to build a really strong, pew pew go fast. I keep saying it, Polly. A pew pew go fast Sabine deck. So if I can get any kind of cool Sabine card, that would be fun. I'm not looking to chase any of the special cards. I just want to play the game. But if it's a deck I'm planning on building, then sure, I'll throw a special version of something in there.
So unfortunately, I don't think I have any locals that are running Unlimited.
Damn.
I still plan to try and get out there and showcase it to them and get them involved. So that's a goal of mine for sure. Because I've really enjoyed the game. From
Eric,
what I've played
have
so
you
far.
have you gone on? Have you gotten your player number on the Asmodee website?
No.
You can do a search
I don't even have that.
for stores that are supporting the game, like within 25 miles of you or something like that.
Okay.
They have a store finder.
Well, you got to sign up. You have to sign up for an Asmodee account anyway so they can track all this stuff. I don't think pre-releases are going to be using any tournament software yet,
I don't
but
think so.
but in order to track all that stuff. But yeah, it's out there on the Star
Yeah,
Wars.
I'll do that. That'll be good to be able to see the closest spot. Hopefully, it's not too far.
200 miles.
Yeah, so I have a history of being very lucky opening product. I've opened the highest rarity from a box of Grand Archive. I got like 2 packs of Lorcana at Walmart and opened an Enchanted.
Nice.
I've been very lucky. So I would love to open up some shiny stuff, some showcase stuff, and that would just be a really cool thing to do. I usually am kind of like a one deck kind of person, so I'm not like trying to build out a whole collection, but I want to also try and spread my wings out a little bit and not just be aggro in all the games I play. So Home One is a card that I think would be really cool to build. It seems like it's difficult to like get to the point where you're playing Home One and be able to level out and keep the game going, but I think that card is really good if you can figure it out.
Yeah, talk about some lucky pulls there that you were talking about. I mean, I did just pull a Neiman Mastery out of some random draft.
He's gonna pull his binder full of Unlimited.
Yeah, a buddy of mine years ago, one of our Scum and Destiny players, pumped a quarter into some vending machine that had Magic the Gathering packs in it, and it must have been there for a very long time because it dropped a beta pack for him,
Nice.
and when he opened it up, there was a time walk.
Ooh.
Oh,
He sold
yeah.
it.
Nice.
He sold it. He sold it and bought a truck for 25 cents. Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's a hell of a
Once that
hit.
happened, like his buddy that was with him was like pumping all of this money into it. And
Yeah,
there
I
weren't
bet.
any other packs coming out that had anything like that.
Wow.
What are the chances? Yeah.
It was good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's. I
Winning.
won't get that kind of luck ever. I don't gamble.
Right.
That's why I don't gamble. No, I was pretty big in Destiny too. Like I had like heroes to, like I did not like rely on dice. Like same with the Fets. Like I pumped everything, had to damage off of my upgrades. Just not good at gambling.
I played against your Fet deck, and even after killing off one of the two, I forget, we played at Gen Con with my Trandoshans, and I pulled off a victory that I was like, son of a bit, how did he do that?
Oh yeah, I just
Yeah.
build up and wait to
Yeah.
draw the right things
Oh, yeah.
and just go off.
Yeah.
You roll out, you're just like,
Time.
he'd roll out. I'd roll out against him, and I'd be like, well, if you have this one card that I'm sure you probably have in your hand, you just win. So just show it to me.
He's got it. He's got 2 copies of it. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, that was a nice thing with Destiny having 30 cards like that. You really just drew that.
Yeah.
You just had this one of those two you were always looking for. And unlimited right now is 50. So
Yep.
that's a lot more to go through. For me, obviously, Boba Fett is Mandalore is so Sabine, Boba Fett, and Jango Fett when he comes out. He seems inevitable. Those are always going to be my go-tos. I'm very interested in Jin. I think there's been some fun things with the Jin that I've found. So I'll pursue that a little bit. I definitely also like Jin. As far as things I want to say or pre-releases, I'm going to 2 currently because there's a competitive season for something else. So if I do well on that, then I might sign up for 3rd. But it probably will just be 2. Card that I think is just bonkers, that is so good. Super laser technician. I think it's just
The DJ.
just off the charts insane. Just coming out with a 2/1 and then attack with it, kill it, resource card. It's just so good. Especially
Resource it ready, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Especially if you play a ramp deck, like who plays a
I don't
ramp
know.
deck?
I think ECL. I think Energy Conversion Lab is probably the best card in the set.
Ooh.
There we go.
I got screwed by Han. I had played the Emperor, and it's like, oh, it's on now. And then my opponent played Han, and my Emperor was gone. Wait a minute, what just happened?
Yeah.
And if I screwed up, again, I'm still being, figuring the game out, so obviously you learn from your mistakes. But whatever I played next, Han took that one out too, and I'm like, oh my god, wait a minute, how do I have to play
Yeah, because
with
he
Han
gets
on the table to make sure I don't get killed immediately?
he gets to do his damage first, right?
And it was 6-6 against 6-6, and the Emperor was just gone. I'm like, that was BS. Come on. I also have to get used to now passing is a gamble. If I pass and my opponent claims initiative, in this case not claims the battlefield, we go to next turn.
Yep.
Um,
As counterintuitive as it seems.
Yeah.
It seems like
that,
perfect
yeah.
makes
Remember
perfect sense to me.
It's counterintuitive that you take the initiative, and that is a passing action.
That is a passing act. Yeah. It's a thing now.
Now trying to bluff is a gamble.
I remember
Yep.
it.
Yep. Now it's a big
You
gamble.
just
Yeah,
give
right?
your opponent the
So-
rights to have, they could just take initiative with like 4 resources up,
Yeah.
because they still just get to start the next turn all over, right?
Yep.
Yep. If you're playing ambush.
One thing that was really interesting to me is the game seems to be kind of deterministic towards the end because of the way passing and doing one action at a time works. Like if you can't handle multiple threats in one action, then you could just be dead no matter what.
Yep.
gets to a point where you can be so far behind, it feels like there's not really a way out, which is different than other card games too.
And Polly and I have played a little bit, and we've went through this, like, I just need, like, this Devastator to hit the ground, and then I'm like, I'm okay, and I will live, and I will be able to just kill and go on. And then I'm just, like, searching through my deck to get that card. I'm like, okay, it's 50 cards, search 3 cards, search 5 cards, search 10 cards of Vader, you know, just cycle it all. I'm like, okay, get the Devastator this turn, all right, and I'm okay. I'm like, so, I mean, so that's a real thing. Like, sometimes you just search for a card, and that's it.
I'm curious. So, like, out of the things like Sentinel and Saboteur and Ambush and things like, what are you guys feeling is like, if you were to build your deck right now, like, which one of those would you feel like you wanted to focus on the most?
Sentinel. I think a strategic Sentinel drop at a very specific time, even if it's a low health Sentinel, to just protect your leader that's out that can do way more damage, or to, you know, protect that one last health off your big hitter. I think it's Sentinel, in my opinion.
All right, note to self: Polly's playing Sentinel. Make sure you play Saboteur against Polly. Okay.
I would say that the best mechanic in this game, and maybe, I don't know if it's a key word, but it happens at key opportunities, is essentially draw card. So there's, you know, a 1/1 drop for space. It's like when you play it, draw a card. When Yoda dies, draw a card. Like, I am your father. Draw 3 cards, or something dies. But that card draw just means so much in this game.
Yep.
Yeah, I played 3 I'm Your Fathers in a row, and I was told no all 3 times, and that was a big swing into my hand, man. Holy cow!
And sometimes, like, when they do that, you're just like, thank you, and then you're like, yeah, keep going. Say no some more.
Right?
Say, that is so thematic. I love it.
Yeah.
I'm your father. Say no.
Every time we play, Polly actually has to pause everything and yell into the camera.
Yep.
No.
It's what it says to do. I don't. Reading the card explains the cards. I'm just saying.
Exactly.
All right. Well, this has been On the Censor's first thing into Star Wars Unlimited. And we'll come back probably soon when we have things and we have pre-releases and all this fun stuff. And we'll have some more to talk with you guys about. Anything else anyone wants to say before we say goodbye?
Don't forget to watch Scum and Destiny, too. Just
play some swoop.
Just saying.
There you go.
Scum Unlimited coming soon.
Yeah. Go play some games.
Scum Unlimited.